Good day, Internet.
Oh, Internet.
Hello, Internet.
Blessed be the fruit.
Isn't she love?
Hey, Ray. How's it going?
Yeah. I'm wearing the Xreal Pro glasses. Let me just fend that one off right off the top.
I thought
viewers.
you were just being cool.
Yeah. I've had various reactions today. Jason Howell was like, why are you wearing sunglasses? Amos was like, those look horrible. So, it's all over the spectrum.
I don't think they look horrible. I think they look they look dramatic. If you were just kind of out and about and I was just like, okay, these are the sunglasses that Tom decided, I'd be like, they seem quite dark and kind of full frame, but I think they're cool looking.
The funniest
My
thing
initial
was
thought was like when you go to the doctor and they dilate your eyes.
yeah, right.
That's what
They
I
kinda
was
look
like.
those.
You kind of slide those on.
Yeah. The funny thing is, Joe was like, are you ready to record? And I went to get my audio hijack software by looking down at the ground, like under the glasses, and then realized, like, no, that software is in the glasses. You just move your head, Tom, not the glasses.
Oh, well, I think they're great.
Thanks.
Sure.
Can't wait to chat about my experience this morning using them.
And now we know that you have lights in your studio.
Yeah, I know.
We see them reflected.
You not only
It's
see
almost
them
like
very
little
well
googly eyes.
on the glasses, but I see them floating in my monitor. Because they're on either side of the camera, but the monitor that's being projected is huge, and so I'm like, oh look, there's the lights right there.
Yeah.
I really wish I'd had these on my trip. I went to Austin this weekend, and I wanted to try these on the plane, but they didn't come, of course, until the afternoon after I left.
Nice.
Of course not. That's how it works.
Well, that's how they wait for you to be out.
Yeah, they don't want you to be great.
I had
Crouch in the bushes.
Well, not a similar worry, but a worry. So I'm going out of town in a couple of days, hopefully. But that's the plan.
2-minute warning.
And Otis now has all this fresh food that it comes like in dry ice. You put it in the freezer, and then you move it to the fridge a couple days before you need to use it so that it thaws out. It's a whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I did this to myself, but we're trying everything at this point. But so it was like, okay, oh crap, I have to get a bunch of food before the long drive, because it's just how's it going to get to me otherwise? And then I realized, wait a second, it has to be frozen. So I need to buy a cooler for the drive. Guess who doesn't have a cooler? This guy. I just
And
don't
2
have
cups.
one. I can go to Target today. It's not the end of the world, but I'm like, there's always something.
Yeah, it's
There's
just one more
always
thing,
something.
right? Like, it's not that hard, but
Remember,
No. Well, and it's like, not only do I have to buy a cooler, but it's like, it has to be kind of big for all this food and ice.
right.
So I guess I'll just, I'll be like a cooler person.
And then you won't have room in your car for anything else because you got the stupid
Right. It's
cooler.
like, don't pack light, everybody.
remember those big
Gotta put
the
the
big
cooler in the car.
styrofoam ones they used to sell in supermarkets that you would
They
buy
still sell
just
those.
Oh, they
Yeah,
do.
they have them.
Yeah.
Last
I mean-
minute, like, oh, I need something to.
I feel like if I'm gonna
Yeah.
get a cooler, I might as well just get like a.
Yeah, but
Well, and
it's
you
not
want it
the
to
coolers
stay
are
frozen
bad.
too.
You
yeah.
just but you need somewhere to put it when you
30
get home.
seconds.
Doesn't Stanley make like those or like
probably do.
Yeti so they stay cold?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe
That
yeah,
may
that's
make it
true. I mean,
easier.
when I put ice in this guy in the morning, I mean,
Same.
it doesn't. I mean, it just.
you
it
guys
just,
are hilarious.
It just. I mean, sure, the ice goes away a little bit over
Well, I
time,
just
but
have a
like,
regular old coffee mug.
if I don't finish the entire cup, like in the morning, there's still ice in
The
there.
next day it's still there.
Yes, it's cold.
That's
as
impressive.
heck.
It really
yeah,
is.
it really
Have
is.
a
I
good
love these
show,
things.
everybody.
Good day, Internet. This is DTNS Live for Tuesday, July 1st, 2025. Happy July, everyone. From Studio Animal House, I'm Sarah Lane.
From Studio 7 in Los Angeles, or my own virtual world, I'm Tom Merritt.
From the Atlanta area, I'm Nica Montford.
And I'm the show's producer, Roger Chang.
DTNS Live made possible by you. Thanks to everybody, including Mike Cortez, Erwin Storer, and Ken Hayes, who support the show directly. And we got 2 new patrons. Everybody welcome Rebecca and Sam into the family.
Are you guys from Cheers?
Oh, it's Rebecca and Sam. You're right.
Yeah.
It's the later seasons, but still Cheers.
Yeah. I mean, Rebecca Howe, I believe, was her full name.
Was that her last name? Wow, I did not
I think
remember
it was
that
Rebecca
at all.
Howe. Yeah, I watched a lot of Cheers reruns.
I don't even remember
I
Diane's
really
last
only
name.
remember the Shelley Long
gosh,
years.
Diane.
Oh,
I should know
Diane.
this.
Chambers.
Diane
Diane
Chambers. And
that
Sam
came
Malone,
to me right
of
then.
course.
Yeah.
Well, Rebecca and Sam, thank you for coming out of the TV and joining our show.
And into our lives.
Now, I want to welcome everyone to DTNS Live, the show where we discuss the tech news to help us all understand it a little bit better. However, if you're not watching the feed right now, you don't know how cool Tom Merritt looks.
Pull that
right
phone
this
out and look
second.
at the video right now, because I'm not sure cool is the right word, but you're going to want to see this. I am wearing the Xreal One Pro glasses, which are designed to look like sunglasses and work like an external monitor. So I have a 222-inch monitor floating in front of me right now. No one else can see but me.
Now, do you feel like that's an appropriate size? It sounds like a very large monitor.
Yeah, I'll get into that when we talk about the segment.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to ask you some questions right now.
You can adjust it to different sizes, and I've played around with a few of them. I think if I were to just use this every day, I probably would keep it at the biggest size, though.
Yeah. Well, Nica Montford, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Can't complain. So,
Oh, come on. I bet you can.
oh, I could. I'm choosing not to. Maybe I should say that. I'm choosing to see the good.
That's a good
I like
point.
that.
Staying in the
I like
happy.
We all can complain. I'm sure of it. We're just not going to. Yeah, well,
Trying to
we're
stay in the happy.
glad to have you, even if you're not wearing really dark sunglasses right now.
I know.
I mean,
so
neither am I.
But I can see. Look, see? I can pick up a glass.
You can pick up a glass. You can drink.
Take a sip.
Can drink some vitamin water or whatever it is.
Yeah,
all
my
right.
electrolyte solution.
There you go.
That's what plants crave.
Got to stay hydrated.
That's me. I'm a plant.
yes. Oh, the plant kingdom. All right. Well, if you are listening live, you might already have an idea for the show.
You should by now, right?
Head to dtns.showbot.tv to submit titles and vote on them as we talk through a bunch of discussions that we have lined up just for you today. We'll check back in on the votes at the end of the show, and you might be our lucky show title winner. Let's kick it off now with a few stories that caught our eye today.
Bloomberg's Mark Gurman says Apple is considering using Anthropic or OpenAI to power Siri. Apple supposedly had both companies test a version of their models that would run on Apple's cloud infrastructure. That way Apple maintains privacy and all that. Internal testing reportedly showed that Claude was the better fit for Siri's needs so far. Doesn't mean Apple's going to do it. Just means that they're considering the idea of like, well, what if Siri was powered by someone else's model on our stuff? So we're still in control.
Well, Threads now offers direct messages for anybody over the age of 18 to message followers or mutual Instagram followers on Android, iOS, and the web. We knew this was coming. Now it's official. End-to-end encryption not supported, but Meta says it will expand features based on user feedback. That's kind of what it's been doing with Threads this whole time, with group chats and message request folders and inbox filters still in development. Threads also introduced a highlighter tool to showcase posts in discovery feeds with a broader rollout planned. I mean, if you hang out on Threads a lot, DMs are a good feature to have.
Can you DM me to remind me to pay attention to my Threads DMs now that Threads has DMs?
Sure. Yeah.
New threads. On another note, internet infrastructure provider Cloudflare announced it would block known AI bot crawlers by default. New domain owners will be asked if they want to allow the crawlers and is testing a pay-per-crawl fee for some domain owners. The words, it's beta, so if you want to, you can opt in and maybe get a little bit something on the side. Cloudflare added it's working with AI companies to verify their crawlers so they can state if they're being used for content training, inference, or search.
Yeah, the paper crawl fee is the most fascinating part of this because if you can get everybody on board and agree on a price, suddenly publishers are getting paid for their work. And think of it more about the agentic side than the training side. Training side's kind of already done. But the agentic side, where people need fresh information from publishers, that's useful for the AI companies and something worth paying for.
Indeed. All right, those are 3 top stories that caught our eye today. But wait, there's more. All right, so we talk a lot about AI services. There are many of them out there, and I know some people are like, oh, AI fatigue, it's real, stop it. But I thought this one was going to be good because starting tomorrow and through the end of next week, I'm going to be out of town doing a little vacation. I am going home, as in to my hometown, more or less, because I'm going to visit my mother and some friends who are up there. So this is not a place I've never been. It's a place I know very, very well. However, I'm staying at a friend's house, which, it's not usually what I do. And I thought, you know what? Let's use one of these AI travel agents to just see what kind of itinerary they would give me. It's like, I know what I'm going to do probably already, but what if I used one of these? So aerial travel, so it's like AI aerial. So instead of the E, it's the I. Get it?
Yeah.
AI aerial travel. It's one of these trip planners, AI powered, automated. The entire vacation experience for me, I say, this is when I'm leaving. I'm not taking a flight. I'm taking a car. I'm taking my dog. I will have another person in the car with me. Staying with a friend. Don't need a hotel. Lots of information. So that is, and this is all natural language stuff. You're just supposed to talk to them as you would talk to a human travel agent. Ariel, not new in the space. Mindtrip and Layla are other competing products. It's also in beta. And I definitely noticed some hiccups. However, I was like, all right, this is going to be interesting. Let's just see, because it doesn't know that I know the area well. Let's just see what it tells me to do.
Yeah. And you know the area, so you
Yeah.
can better judge how good the recommendation is, where somebody like me would be like, I don't know, sounds great.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
because it's like, this is, so where I'm going up in Northern California is known as wine country, right? So it's like, it's a popular tourist destination. A lot of people go. They go on winery tours. They go
I
hiking.
think I've heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah, right. This is lots of hotels, lots of restaurants and stuff.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
And so it was like here's some
Yeah,
itineraries.
it's not like you're asking it to go to my hometown where you're like, there's really not that much to do, frankly.
But I mean, but it would be the same as if you use it to go to a place that you're familiar with, you'd be like, nah, nobody likes that restaurant, or
Yeah,
too fancy.
exactly.
We're not on that vibe, on Tuesday night type thing. Anyway, I planned out this basically 12-day trip, and it gave me some pretty good recommendations. I'm like, that's a good restaurant. However, then it was like on day 3, we're back at that restaurant. On day 5, we're back at that restaurant.
Oh.
On day 9,
Yeah.
we're back at that restaurant. And this is not an inexpensive
like that
place.
restaurant.
Even if it was my favorite restaurant, it's like, yeah, you probably don't want to go 4 times in the same,
Yeah,
the same
I
trip.
mean,
Over the span
I know-
of 12 days.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
like, maybe you repeat 1 or 2 restaurants over 12 days, but even then, usually I don't when I travel. So I don't know about you,
Right.
Nica.
So then I'm being somewhat vague just because these are like really small towns and, I don't even know how helpful it would be to anybody. But I said, we're probably not going to go to Glen Ellen Star like 5 times. Can you just suggest some other things, for the other nights?
Yeah.
And then also it would be like, from, 9 to 11, hike with dog. Starting at 11:30, lunch. 2 to 5, pool time. 6 to 9 dinner, where I'm like, oh, that's a stacked day. Like sometimes that's a day that's possible, but you're like, you don't want to do that every day.
Yeah.
The whole
Did
point
you
is just
try
to kind of like
saying
chill
that?
out.
Were you able to say, like, ooh, that seems like a stacked day? Can you loosen
Yeah.
that schedule up? Yeah?
I
How'd that work?
did. I did. And then what's funny, and again, this is beta, it's in beta, so there may have just been some hiccups in general, so it's just kind of buggy. But I was like, yeah, we want to like maximize pool time, and we'll probably just go to a grocery store. So we'll have food at the house. We don't need to have, a day, packed from like the moment we wake up until the moment we go to bed. So then, it was like, all right, let me help you out. And then I was like, oh, like it sort of crapped out on me. There's just like blank days. So I was like, why don't I have an
They were like,
itinerary?
fine, you want to rest? I'll give you a rest the whole day.
Passive aggressive. Oh, you didn't like my itinerary, huh?
That's exactly
How
what
do
it
you
was.
like
'cause
no
I was
itinerary?
I was like, why don't I have any itineraries on my last 3 days? And they were like, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
It was like, oh, well, by this point in your trip, you probably know what you like. And we thought you'd like some R&R, and also just an opportunity to do some of your own exploring. And I was like, that's not bad advice.
Okay.
It's not.
Honestly,
It's not bad advice, but it's not what I was asking for, actually.
Well, and a good travel agent would have filled in that itinerary with like to be decided, or free time to choose your favorites from earlier in the trip, just to kind of indicate like
Right.
I did
Instead
think
of just like
about
an
it.
open box.
Yeah,
where it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
refresh, something's wrong. And I was like, no, you asked me to do this. You
I'm
wanted
giving you
more
what you
free
want.
time.
Yeah.
3 straight days of free time.
So anyway, I really do, and again, it's like if you have, the whole travel agent industry has changed a lot, in years. It's not the same thing as it used to be. But let's say you do have one, and that human, if you're like, hey, here's the kind of person I am, I have a family of 3, or I need a dog-friendly hotel, or whatever it is. We all have our things. You're going to get someone who's like, okay, what do you think about this? And you go, good start, but, we want a little bit more free time in the afternoon, or we don't want to eat at a restaurant every single night. We want to barbecue or whatever it is. It's like they're designed to be like, okay, got it. Let's work with you on a refined itinerary. And this really did work for the most part the same way. And I will say that everything that was recommended to me, I was like, yeah, that's a nice hike. Yeah,
Okay.
that's a nice ramen place. Yeah, that's my favorite beach. I didn't give it I didn't say anything besides, here's what town I'm going to. So it didn't know anything about me.
So it did a good job of picking things. It sounds like it was good at that. Yeah.
Yeah, there was some repetition where I'm like, yeah, let's just not like keep going to the same place. It was almost like oh, you're in this small town, so let me just pick stuff that's like really close to you.
Yeah.
But it's like, or you could just go 2 towns over and eat at a different restaurant.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that these models you got to give them that parameter. Like, I'm willing to travel up to a couple towns away, and then
it's like a 20-minute drive. We're cool with it. We've got a car type thing. Anyway, it was overall a good experience. I would like to know if anybody has used this tool or anything like it for a trip where you've never been there before and you're really kind of going in blind. I haven't done a trip like that in a while, but I have many times before. And sometimes it's like you can sort of over plan. And once you get there, you're kind of like, okay, we're going to this coffee shop. It's right here. I've already wrote it down, and then we're gonna do this. And it can be like under serendipitous, or you just sort of go, we'll figure it out when we get there, and then you kind of don't know what you're doing. So something in between, I think, works for me.
Having something planned out that you don't necessarily need to adhere to is beneficial, because you can say like, hey, that looks cool, I'm just going to deviate, but at least you have a framework of something planned.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would totally use it, because my experience with travel agents hasn't been the best. And I figure, an LLM would probably have, I would probably have as much benefit from an LLM as I did the past few times I've called or contacted a human travel agent.
Yeah, I haven't used one either, but I know when I travel, my concern is, how great is it going to be? And a lot of times when you do kind of like the hand research yourself, you can read some of the comments and kind of get a feel of what you're doing. But I think for, your high level planning of getting familiar with an area, especially that you haven't been into. And I think this is where, when it comes to LLMs and these AI, powered tools, that's where the nuance comes in. You can, give it your initial parameters and see what it spits out. And then you can kind of refine it. That's kind of where you get to the nuance of saying, okay, like you said, you got this restaurant 3 different days. I'm willing to travel 15 miles or 15 minutes or whatever outside of it. And I think, it's just one of those things that as we integrate this technology more into our daily life, we as the user have to learn better how to interact with it. So that way it starts to learn us as people, and it gives the tool a little bit more nuance, because again, it's AI. It's taking some prompts and spitting out some data. So you have to kind of guide it a little bit more. But based on what you said, this sounds, at least initially pretty good. You may just have to go in and tweak it a bit to get exactly what you want. But
would you try it out,
Yeah.
Nica?
pretty good, yeah.
Because you travel quite a
I
bit.
would. Yeah, I would. I'd definitely try it out. And like I said, I do a lot of legwork initially to kind of see what's in the area, the type of restaurants and, sites and that type of thing. But the fact that it picked places that you were going to go anyway, that kind of, it gives you, and it's smart, I think, to try this out on somewhere that you're very familiar with. And that we can kind of gauge the accuracy of the tool itself to say, hey,
yeah,
this actually makes sense.
That's what I thought was a good exercise, because I if I were to pick, I don't know, some town in, somewhere I've never been before. It's like, well, we'll just find out if it all works out. I mean, sure, I can start doing TripAdvisor stuff, and all of, you can do your own research, of course. You can make whatever itinerary you want, but
Right.
that's also, a lot of humans just don't want the same thing in a vacation, right? Whether it's a travel agent or it's customer reviews on Yelp, it's like, you read them and it's always grain of salt, because it's like, if they want a certain experience that you don't care about, or vice versa, you're going to get recommendations for stuff that isn't totally tailored to you.
And you can ask this thing, hey, based on the reviews, what percentage is 5-star or 4-star, or overall, based on the comments, what is, the perception of this place. So you can kind of, like I said, get down to the nuance and ask it to do these things. So
I wonder if it's
think
got
it's actually
memory and can learn your preferences if you make enough itineraries in it.
Yeah, all the itineraries are saved, and you log in. I mean, I logged in with my Gmail account, and so it's designed to be like, okay, Sarah, we've done a couple successful trips. I'm kind of getting your vibe, and that's the idea.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Tom, we want to talk about those glasses you're wearing, because I think they're cool, but I guess not everybody feels the same way.
What glasses? What do you? Oh, these.
Yeah, no, the ones on your face.
Yes, these are the Xreal One Pro glasses. They are on sale for $649. They do not work on their own. They don't have a battery. They're tethered, as you can see on my shot. They have a big old wire coming out of the end of one of the arms, and that goes into whatever device. So you can use these with a phone, a game console, a laptop, whatever you got that's got USB-C external monitor support. You can use this. 57-degree field of view, Bose audio coming out of the speakers in the arms there. You can buy an optional camera if you want to take photos and videos, but again, it's tethered, so I don't know. I guess you could put it on a phone and walk around with it and do that, but they're not really meant to be smart glasses. They're really an external monitor. And so I've been playing around with them this morning. When I first plugged them in, I'm like, you know what? This could become a daily driver for me. You can make the screen as big as you want. I've got it at the maximum, 222 inches virtual. You can place it where you want. You can have it follow you. You can have it anchored. You can also do side view, which I still am unsure what the use case is for that. I want to figure that out. But what I've got is 222-inch monitor floating in front of me. And the first thing I found was like, I can't see any of my other monitors, so you only need this if you're using it. You're not going to be able to see the other monitors. They're pass through. Like I can see the rest of the world around, but it's kind of useless.
You can't read stuff.
Exactly.
On your other
Like
monitor.
I can only see parts of my monitor. I would have to take them off to look at my monitors. So
Yeah.
I would think if I were to use these regularly, this would just be my monitor, and I would have them as big as possible and then make my windows smaller so I could have more of them up there. You can also set the virtual distance of it. So you can have it be up close. You could have it farther back. So it took me a little bit playing with it. I think I ended up with 5 meters distance. There you can adjust the pupillary distance, which kind of helps lock it in on fuzziness and all of that. So it's, depending on where your eyes are, you can adjust that. You can get prescription lenses put in them so that you can have your prescription before you're seeing the monitor. I don't have that because I have a good enough far vision that I just, set it at a little far enough away and it was fine. But it is a little fuzzy.
Oh yeah, because you're not wearing glasses, which you
I'm not wearing
wear
glasses, so it's not like as super tight as it would be. But my glasses are more for up close reading, so I don't have it sitting up close, and it works.
And now they look so dark. Do you, when you're looking out at the world, is it as if everything
Yeah.
is wearing sunglasses?
Yeah, it is. The bits of the real world I can see around are dark, and I think that's to make sure that the brightness of the virtual monitor pops.
Sure.
I can see the world around me. Honestly, I mostly see the world outside of the glasses, because they're not covering my entire face. So like when I pick up a drink, I'm seeing the glass below the glasses and drinking. I'm not seeing it in front of the glasses.
Yeah.
So with that, does it give you like any type of spatial like weirdness? Is there any type of spatial awareness that you have that is like a little off-putting? Like, oh, I can't quite figure out where my hands go with this or what I'm seeing, even though I know it's darkened.
It took
is there
me a
any
minute.
kind of like difference?
It took me a minute or two to figure out like, oh, I can just kind of look down at my keyboard. And so that threw me off a little, but honestly, no, like once I got used to that, because I can see normal world outside the glasses and in my peripheral vision and stuff. It just feels like, oh yeah, there's a big old monitor hanging in space right over there. And that's kind of all I see in front of me. I don't see anything else around me, if that makes sense.
All right. Well, you mentioned that initially you were very excited. And then what happened?
Yeah, as I've been using them more, I've started to become more aware of the 57-degree field of view, which is a bigger field of view than the regular Xreal ones. The Pros have 57. I think the other ones were 55. But with the 222-inch screen, there are parts of it that I can't see. They're outside the field of view. Like if I look over here, half the screen is gone from the field of view. And so that started to be a little bit of a like, well, I'm now aware that there's a box through which I can see all the virtual stuff. It's only one screen. So maybe that's what the side view would be good for, if I could do 2 screens. So I would have to bring all of my browser's, windows down to be able to fit a lot of stuff in here. And I could. I think it would work. But I wouldn't need any of the other screens at that point. I really think it's probably better for mobile stuff. And I plugged it into my phone just to make sure it worked. And it did. But I haven't spent any time with that. So I want to see how it works for that and for video. But it's just, I've started to see not only the field of view, but I've started to see artifacts. I've started to notice artifacts in the resolution. A little bit of frame rate, glitchiness here and there. So it's not, I've started to be familiar enough with it to notice a few imperfections here and there. But honestly, like it's so much better than trying to figure out where to sit my monitor, because I can just attach it wherever. I want to lean back. I could unhook it and move it up. You just do it with a tap of the menu on the glasses.
Yeah. Or I don't know, maybe you have an office where it's like there's a chair in the corner and you never sit there because why would you? And
Yeah, right.
You
But
you
it's
have a
real
little bit more
comfy.
flexibility. I mean, you're tethered still, but if you have
But you
the
move
right,
the laptop
the right
or- yeah.
space, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And yes,
And you-
James Glazer, it is good enough to read chat. I'm doing it right now.
Do you find any fatigue or do you feel any sense of tiredness if you have them on too long?
I think that was the other thing. I'm glad you asked that. They're light. They feel very comfortable. So I didn't get that kind of fatigue, but I did start to get a little bit of eye fatigue after using them more than an hour. And I don't know if that just is because I need to dial in the pupil area adjustment a little more, or if it's because I'm not wearing my glasses, or if it's just the nature of the beast when you've got actually two lenses, just sitting right, literally right in front of your eyes. They're not actually distant. So.
And I know you mentioned a couple of times, pupil dilation. Like when you set this thing up, is it like an eye scan and they kind of
No, it's just manual. You just
Oh,
you
okay.
just keep moving it till it looks good. It's not fancy like that. Yeah.
I mean, that's what
Yeah.
the MetaQuest does as well. It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
you
It's the
just
same
it's sort
thing.
of like you want it like this or like you
Yeah,
just sort
yeah.
of go like that feels right for me.
Yeah. It's like
I'm not an
you're the eye
optometrist,
doctor.
but,
One
yeah.
or two. One or two.
Well, fun times.
Yeah, I've enjoyed using these, and honestly, just the fact that I can sit up straighter and have a bigger monitor makes me want to figure out how to make these work more of the time. I don't think I'll be doing the show with them on in the future because they look so weird. They're really not meant for walking around outside. I've had so many different reactions to them, but they are light and they work like glasses. So outside of showtime, I might be using them a lot.
Cool. I like it.
Well, folks, if you have a reason why I shouldn't do that, if you're like, no, Tom, that's the way lies disaster. One way to let me know is our Discord. You can join our Discord by linking a Patreon account. Go do that at patreon.com/DTNS.
All right, Nica. Everybody who wears makeup knows that getting the right combination of foundation itself, that's, sort of the lotion that's designed to match your face and even out your tone, can be hard to get your actual particular complexion perfectly right. A lot of trial and error. It can be tedious and it can be expensive. So there's a new startup that's supposed to help us with this.
Right. So I have been on a little bit of a side quest for myself in the beauty tech space. And, just doing a little research to kind of see what's out there, see what's going on. And I came across this particular startup. It's called Bold Hue. And it's a technology company with a beauty concept that's based in Boise, Idaho, not Silicon Valley like you would think, but out in Boise, Idaho. So basically what it does is it can scan your skin, and based on those readings, it creates a custom shade of foundation in just 1 minute. It's being called kind of like the Keurig of makeup. To me, I think it's more the HP of makeup, because what this tool does, it's kind of two separate pieces. It's like you said, think of your printer. It's a small little box. It comes with 6 different colors. You use kind of what they're calling a magic wand, and it scans your skin, and based on that, it creates this custom color that's just for your skin only. Now, let's talk a little bit about price up front, because people are like, wow, that's kind of like interesting. It's about $250 for the device itself.
$250.
And $250, what did I say?
Well, just not
$250.
$2.50.
$250 United States dollars. And it comes with 6 cartridges as well that range between $15 to $35. So when you originally order the kit, you get the little mixer, I guess is the best way I could think of it. You get the colors, the 6 colors, and you get some beauty sponges. So the thing is, what's so interesting about this is it's bringing something kind of in-house. I mean, I know, I'm not sure about you, Sarah, but many of us have been into Sephora or been into Ulta, and you can go in those places and they can scan your skin and tell you what color number you need for whatever brand. So say if I go in, they scan my skin, you'd be 145 in this brand or a 2A in this brand. But this particular product, it actually creates it for you, gives you in each run about a 6-day supply, and you use it and you go about your business. And it's one of those things where we've heard about how beauty standards can affect everybody. And there was a while where people weren't able to find a product that was for their skin. A lot of people would get 2 or 3 colors or 2 or 3 shades of a particular brand and self-mix until they could figure it out for themselves. Then you had brands like Fenty Beauty that came out with like a 40 shade range. And other of the beauty companies, they started coming out with a 40 shade range as well, which is great because it, of course, gives a larger customer base. But with this particular product, you can make it custom just for your skin. And I just thought it was really fascinating because the founder, there are 2 co-founders. The one who started, she created a business, had scaled it, and she decided, hey, I'm going to go back to just doing a 9-to-5 job. That didn't last very long for her. And then she met her
at heart.
Right. And when she, found her co-founder, who was originally, get this, she was in the aerospace engineering arena. So that's the CTO, and her co-founder is the one who actually built the concept of the product as well. But it's just one of those things where technology, AI is being put and baked into literally every aspect. And people don't necessarily think that something like a beauty product would use this type of technology, and it does. And it has an app. We were talking about with Ariel before, it's like, does it keep up with, my history? And this particular product, the app, it does track the user's foundation history, and it makes it easy to repeat the mixture. So say if you get a mixture, it's not quite right, and you kind of tweak it a little bit, or you want some changes, it remembers it and it repeats the best mixture for you. Again, I know in different types of the seasons, your makeup changes. In the summer, you're darker, and in the winter, you're lighter because it's not as much.
That was the first thing I was gonna say. Is like right now. I mean, I just buy like Neutrogena from Target, but this lasts me a while. So it's like my first thought was, ooh, would this be way more expensive even if it was better? Because you got the cartridges, and of course, depending on your mixture, some of your cartridges are just, Nica's cartridge and my cartridge are not going to be the same cartridge.
We're not going to run out the same.
We're going to have to
run out of
different
cartridges than each
other.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then even, I don't really spend much time in the sun these days, but it's like in the summer in general, I usually go a shade darker because it's like, I don't want to look like I'm wearing like pancake face. You want to like
wearing someone else's makeup.
Yeah. Right.
So,
and I will say before we go further, I did make a little error. I said it was $250 for the
original
machine
for the bundle. It's $295 for the full bundle. So I definitely want to make that.
So that's
correction.
the machine plus some cartridges, right?
It gives you the full. It gives you all 6 of the cartridges.
It gives you all 6 cartridges.
And so then you just like a printer. It's like sometimes you're just gonna need that black cartridge again, or the yellow one.
The cartridges are $15 each, right?
About $15 to $35, I guess, depending
on
I
the
would
color.
assume, depending on the color. Yeah.
Well, and that's true. That's true of foundation too. Like, my foundation was this HD skin thing that someone told me about when I was on camera all the time, and it was always the most expensive one because it was not as popular as the other ones. So I just looked it up. It would be $32.90 for me to replace that. Thing is, though, I never wear enough of it to run out. Like, it lasts me forever. So this wouldn't make sense for me. But if you are spending, more than $15 a month, they say like what's 1 or 2 cartridges a month on average that people run out of, then yeah, maybe it would be.
And especially when you start to think of like your luxury brand makeups, it's gonna run you way more than this.
And you might be willing to pay a little more for the luxury of not having to go out, right? Just to print it at home.
Well, also
and
to
it's
have,
custom to your skin,
Yeah.
so it's custom to
and
you.
have it always be right every time. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, when I was doing a lot of, we say this as we're all on camera right this second.
I know.
But, more,
On
kind
When I
camera,
was
where there
on
was
camera.
someone else saying you need to put on makeup, Tom.
Totally, yeah. It's like, makeup artists that I've worked with in the past, they always had all the best stuff. It was Chanel, everything, and like
Mac.
A lot of Mac, and just various expensive stuff. And
30
there
is my
there
share.
was a time where I was like, okay, well, this is just the stuff I'm used to, so I'll just keep buying these things, and it's pricey. And
I
it's
could
like,
see this
if I
for
want to get
somebody-
certain makeup, it's like I have to go to a department store.
Yeah, right.
Or get it shipped
I could see
or something.
a makeup artist using this, right? To be like, oh, let me,
Yeah.
I have new people coming in all the time because I work on different productions. Let me use this to match it to their skin right every time. That could be
actually
and
really
these
good
makeup
use case.
artists, they have in their kits, they have to have all the colors because they
Right.
never know on any given day who may be in their
Who's going to
chairs.
sit in that chair? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like
Yeah.
we can't all use the same thing.
Right.
Yeah. No, that's actually maybe even the best use case, really.
I wonder how
is-
long it takes to dispense one dollop of it.
Well,
It says a minute.
Dispense it, and then you
Okay,
do
that's
mix
not
it up
bad.
manually.
Yeah, you do mix it manually, but so
Which
2 minutes.
I mean, wouldn't
I
be
guess.
that hard.
Yeah.
Probably a couple minutes. All right, we're switching gears here. Roger's going to talk psychedelics.
Oh, I
Roger,
am?
What's going on?
Yes, you
what's
are.
happening over there at House of Chang?
So the MIT Technology Review had a fascinating story about how some people, of course, are turning to psychedelics to treat certain emotional and other issues traditionally not used in therapeutics. But instead of relying on a person, whether it's a friend or an actual trained therapist, to help them through the process or fly with them on this process, they're using LLM chatbots as surrogates. So they will take a dollop of this compound and experience whatever, and the LLM is along for the ride, recording and responding to any sort of feedback that the person might be giving about what they're experiencing. And what it led me to question was, like, how many other instances are there where people could easily not just easily, but be willingly swap a person and surrogate them with a LLM chatbot? For example, like, you're in the dating scene, you need a wingman or a wing person or a wing bot, as it were, to kind of go with you, or maybe like
Well,
one of the
Cyrano de Bergerac thing where they're just telling you what to say.
Why not? I mean,
Yeah.
like he was in the bushes
All right.
the entire time anyway, right?
Yeah.
And what about, like, if you're one of those people that has to write all their thoughts out or at least explain them, a la Doogie Howser? At the end of the show, he would just type up how his day went and sort of express and vent his feelings. Why wouldn't you have that system then talk back to you about it and sort of explore what you were feeling? And I was thinking, like, there must be a number of other situations where you would really have sort of intimate kind of information, that very personal information that you want to interact with, but not necessarily with a person that's available.
First thing that came to my mind when you said that, though, was I don't want these companies to have that data either, right? So I let's assume, for the sake of argument, because I think that short circuits the conversation, this is on device. It's not going into the cloud. It's not being logged, and you can speak privately to a chatbot, a version of local Gemini or something running on your machine. Then what do you do? I don't know. I don't know that there's things that I would want to say to a computer even then that I wouldn't end up saying to like a doctor or a lawyer or somebody like that. I guess lawyer would be one of them.
Well, you'd save money, I suppose.
Yeah.
Not that is the
Not that a
primary reason
chatbot
to
is,
not use a
And
professional.
you get what you pay for too.
Yeah.
'Cause these things
Yeah.
aren't meant for that.
Yeah,
So-
avoid. Yeah, ignore that parking ticket. It's not going to come back and haunt you.
Yeah, and what if some of this advice is not the healthiest? You could see some of, I guess, the positives of this, but then when you think about the negatives, it could get really dark really fast.
I mean, it's one of those things where you are kind of given license to kind of indulge in your maybe less upstanding aspects, like how do I get revenge on yada yada yada, because they royally screwed me out of a deal or something, and I just give me some options, like some way to sort of work it out. Like in some ways, some people often write fiction as a way to sort of vent out why they were upset at a boss or a someone they had a very long relationship with, but they found out they were cheating. Like as a way, as sort of ideally a constructive way.
outlet.
Exactly.
Or even just, I don't know, the act of journaling. Sometimes that is something that's shared with someone else, and often it's just whatever. It's whatever you're just getting out. It's not meant for the world to absorb in any way, but it can be a really good outlet. I feel like this, again, if data preservation is top of mind, then this could be the same kind of thing. I also find that, because I've tried this out with ChatGPT and and a couple other models, where I say like, give me tough love about this, that, or the other. It's like, I already know what I'm doing wrong, and that's not going to the gym. Like the gym membership I'm paying for. It's like, it's a leading question, right? It's like, it's not me just being like, hey, AI therapist who knows nothing about me, let's talk. It's like, you get the answers you're looking for. And that's why it works so well when it's like, help me make a spreadsheet, or I had it create a really quick invoice for me the other day because it just, it was going to take me a while otherwise. Just, little things like that. Or even things like, give me some legal advice based on this scenario. Again, you have to do your own homework. But that kind of stuff, it works really well because it's like, tell me what you want, and then I will give you what you want. So when you're unsure of what you want, I think that's that gray area that this might be great for some people, and like you said, Nica, a little iffy for others.
And there's go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and when you go into it with that mentality of, oh yeah, I already kind of have an idea of what this is going to say or how it's going to go, and I know I need to, like you said in your example, I should be going to the gym. The issues come in when people don't, their sense, I guess, of understanding it, they solely rely. There are people who only rely on chatbots, and I think it warps a little bit of the consciousness and of the mind a little bit. And if you aren't, I guess, talking to actual humans and kind of have a kind of like
A real world sort of
a
viewpoint.
real world, or kind of like a guide, or kind of like a mark, you can get so lost in this virtual world, and these chatbots are learning you. They know how you like to speak, and it can get a little iffy, with different types of mentality. So that's why I say, sure, when you know what's going on, you know what the actual expectation of this is. And then when you don't, or if you're in the middle of a crisis, or if you're having, it can, like I said, it can get kind of dark pretty quickly if people aren't aware that, yes, if you're asking it for legal advice, you still need to actually find out from, an actual legal person, and not just take the chatbot for 100% for what it's telling you.
All these LLMs are different too. So I think what you're saying is 100% true of ChatGPT and Claude and the like wide open chatbots, where they're not designed to do any particular thing except be good at chatbotting. Where I think you could make, and a few people in this MIT technology review story have, therapist-oriented bots that are more on rails and know to make sure to tell you, like, hey, I am not the end of the road here. You should go see a licensed therapist. I'm just helping you begin your journey. I think there's a lot of roles for that kind of product out there where they're purpose built for different kinds of things like legal advice and stuff.
And what I find, initially I was very skeptical about that whole therapy as in chatbots, but what I've realized in many ways they're an expansion of what people used to use FAQs for, where someone who put a site together, for example, if you had certain issues, they would like, oh, are you experiencing this? These might be the cause. It makes it less personalized and less of a wall of a text, right? And more sort of like sort of carving out answers that are directly applicable to you. Now, of course, it depends on the entity that is creating the LLM or the chatbot that it's based on. But I mean, there could be a lot of beneficial uses, even outside of just health. But just say like, hey, I have some financial issues. You tell them like, hey, I don't make enough money. I got these. What are my options? Instead of just telling you, some weird kind
rob
of
a bank.
Yeah, like or
Instead of
or
rob a bank, it gives you a
said
budget.
you wanted money.
yeah, or like it
one
could give you like,
option.
hey, like what do you own? Maybe you might want to consider selling your car and then take public transit or get a cheaper car. Like gives you all these bits
Reasonable.
of information. Yeah. Well, I think what I find is that oftentimes they don't provide an answer, but they provide a direction. Like I now know what to look for. I now know what to ask when I talk to a lawyer, when I talk to, say, a plumber or a mechanic. I know what's involved. It's
You
no
don't
longer
go in blind.
Exactly.
Yeah, you got some lingo.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's check out the mailbag.
Yeah, Tim wrote about the discussion yesterday about watching and listening at more than 1x speed and says he listens at 2x almost all the time. If it's particularly music focused, he writes, say something like Song Exploder, not just a podcast talking about music, I'll slow it down to real speed. But sped up doesn't sound weird to me at all after years of doing it. And interestingly, I started due to some DTNS stories back in the day about how your brain can actually process it better because it forces you to listen and pay closer attention. I don't doubt that I may not retain everything, but I'm even more likely to not retain it at all if I happen to listen to a podcast talk for an hour or 2 or 3 on something that only needed 10 or 15 minutes to get the point across. He thinks podcasters talk too slow and for too long. So this is his solution for that. He says there's a reason that the TV shows and movies we love are scripted and edited over and over again until it's tight. So do I miss some stuff? Probably, but it's generally okay. I'm not listening to podcasts to get a degree in the subject or pass a certification.
Yeah, well, and everybody's different, right? I mean, maybe some people are looking to get a degree in a particular subject, but I get it, Tim. It's if you're used to it and you're like, I'm getting the information that I want, and that's the whole point, right? You might pay for some podcasts and not pay for others, and pay for certain videos and others are free. But it's like, if it's the content that you want, then you do it at the speed you need.
Clinton Woodward was listening at 2x to catch up to live while we were doing that email. He caught up to live. That's funny.
2 times speed seems like a lot.
Yes.
To me, it would seem like it would be a lot to try and listen intently to and process. To me, at least.
I don't remember the specifics of the story we talked about before, but I know it was like a 1.5 or 1.25 that showed greater retention because you paid more attention to it. This story we talked about yesterday was more like above 1.5. And so maybe both are true. Like there's a certain point where going faster makes you pay more attention. And then after a certain point, it's just too hard for your brain to keep up and you don't retain it as much.
Your brain's not an LLM. It can't compute that fast.
No, it's not.
I listen to a lot of podcasts, usually on a walk with my dog, almost exclusively, or in my car sometimes. But there's this one podcast I really like. It's a couple guys who just they talk about television, and kind of snarky. It's just a fun podcast.
It's not cord
And-
killers either. Don't. I know somebody's going to say that.
It's not Core Killers, although that is also a very good one.
Thank you.
But no, I don't know these gentlemen, but they're very funny. They're like, it's like a comedy show, really. And somehow, just inadvertently, when I was, I don't know, like pulling up a new episode, I made it 1.5x, which I never do. I just listen to podcasts. I'm talking about podcasts specifically. Video would be totally different, but podcast specifically, I just don't speed them up. Sometimes I don't finish a whole episode, and that's fine. And, maybe I'll go back, maybe I won't. But I never speed them up. And it took me, like, the better part of a week. I was like, what kind of coffee are these guys on? Because I had, like, I was catching up
really
on a few
energetic.
episodes. Yeah, and I was just like, they're just really on one today.
Wow.
Do they
And
have
I
somewhere to
realized
be?
it's me. It's me. I had it sped up. And the only way I finally figured it out was I was like, there's no way the advertiser is going to want this read to be that fast. Like they're not getting weird feedback about this. It was me. It was me the whole time. Yeah. So there you go. The more you know. Remember, you can send in your comments at any speed you like to feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. And of course, if you are a patron of ours, hi patrons, you can comment on anything we post to Patreon as well. Lots of good conversations going on there as well. Nica Montford, you're always a good conversationalist, and we'd love to have you on the show. Let folks know where they can keep up with you in between episodes.
You can find me all over the social internet sphere, if that's what you want to call it, at Tech Savvy Diva. I'm pretty much on all the things, and that's the handle, pretty much on all the things. Also, you can catch me on my very own podcast, Snob Out West podcast, where we talk all things Apple and then some. So that's pretty much where you can find me out on these internet streets.
Fantastic. All right, let's get to those titles people have been submitting over at dtns.showbot.tv. The top vote getter from Clinton Woodward right now is Tom refuses to make eye contact. I'm not refusing to. I just prevented from doing it. JPEG84 with high-tech specs. Huh? Yeah.
I text back.
Chris Benito wanted to make sure we wished everyone a happy Canada Day. Happy
Happy Canada Day.
Oh, happy Canada Day.
We stand
Custom-
on guard for thee.
Custom print your makeup is another one. That's good.
Good one.
Have AI will travel. That's what's there.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a good one.
And the W's got us one with, and I would drive 15 miles and I would drive 15 more.
Slightly long, but I like it. I like
Yeah.
what you're going for here.
Scan for your shade of blush from JPEG84.
Larry in Atlanta had Wingbot. Larry in Atlanta also had SodaStream for makeup.
There's some good ones in here, Sarah. What should we pick?
Yeah.
Well, not only because their name is Possum42, but that's just a cool name. We're going with Have AI Will Travel.
Yay, Possum 42.
Yay.
He's not playing.
I saw a possum on my fence last night.
Did you?
I did.
Oh.
I like possums.
Yeah, I was going to say,
like,
you
hey,
like
what's up?
possums.
Yeah, I'm a possum fan. Not everybody
Yeah.
is.
Okay.
but I like 'em.
You're part of the possum posse.
It's
I am.
the sharp teeth and the odor.
Oh, come on. They're fine.
All right, let's say thanks to everybody who supports us on all the different methods like LinkedIn, YouTube, Laminar Rainbow. We were so busy talking about AI travel, but don't think we didn't see your 99-cent super sticker there. We really appreciate that, man, especially because you're a patron now, too. So thank you, Laminar Rainbow. Thanks to Sean and Nelson, who gave us raises on Patreon. Really appreciate that. When anybody says, you know what, I'm already backing these folks, but I think they're doing such a good job, I want to give them a little more. We give you a little more back. So thank you for doing that. Also, Zoe Brings Bacon gave us some bits. Paley Glendale cheered us with bits on Twitch. Paley Glendale resubscribed at tier 3, 36th month. JPEG84 back for 65 months, 56 months at tier 1. Possum42 resubscribed with Prime. They've been subscribed for 54 months. Larry in Atlanta resubscribed for Prime. They've been subscribed for 55 months. Of course, on the day we have someone from the Atlanta area, we get Larry in Atlanta back. That makes sense.
Hey, Larry.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody who supports us in all the possible ways, including patreon.com/DTNS.
Yay.
Woohoo.
Hey, everybody. Did you know that Apple has a lot of power users? Maybe sometimes we're kind of hipster users, but Nica knows how it is. We are a fun bunch. People love Apple. And that's why myself and Eileen Rivera, as my Apple Watch actually calls me right now, thank you, potential spam. We have Apple Vision Show where each week we talk about all things Apple, the good, the bad, what's new, what's on the horizon, what we would like changed. We do it all. So get subscribed now at applevisionshow.com. You can also watch us live here on DTNS Live, Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern, which is 2000 UTC. And you can find out more at dailytechnewsshow.com/live. We're back doing it all again tomorrow with Scott Johnson joining us. Talk to you then.
The DTNS family of podcasts, helping each other understand.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.